Hey, welcome back. And welcome back to us too. We just got back from vacation. If you're new here, my name is Becca. We're here on our farm in the area of Spokane, Washington. I figured while I'm working out here, I could bring you along as we go throughout Italy. We went to 3 different regions. We went to Rome, we went to Orvieto, and then we went to Florence, which is in the Tuscany region. Our trip spanned a total of 10 days. I don't know if you know this, but traveling to another country that's as far away as Italy, it takes a while. By the time we arrived in Rome, got our train to the place that we're staying, we were exhausted. It was great to be able to just like arrive around dinner time, get something to eat, and then sleep. First thing in the morning, it was time to go exploring. Any vacation that we take, we try to plan a really good balance of let's see everything and let's actually enjoy and relax. So we made Rome the place that we would just try to see everything because there's so much to see. We got tickets to an underground tour of the Colosseum. I highly recommend it. So worth the cost. It was incredible. We met up with a small group. It took about, I'd say like 60 to 90 minutes of our own tour guide walk us through the underground tunnels underneath the stage area of the Colosseum where everything existed. All the workings in the underground of the Colosseum was fascinating. It was very humbling. We got to see like all of the truly ancient elevator systems they used when they brought in all these exotic animals to use in the games. We got to walk underneath all of that. Gosh, that was one of my favorite parts of the whole trip, I think. We spent a good part of the morning at the Colosseum. Afterwards, we were able to just hang around and see more of it if we wanted to. Everywhere you go in Rome, there are a lot of people, so we just kind of had to get used to that. We went in the very beginning of March, which we thought was going to be super smart because it's not quite the height of tourist season. But what we didn't realize was that it is the year of Jubilee in Italy, which is this huge celebration. The week that we were there was the week of Carnival and the week of Ash Wednesday. That was the day that we booked tickets to go to the Vatican, which at the time the Pope wasn't doing so well either, so everybody was in Rome at the time we were in Rome. Even though we didn't plan that super well, we planned everything. Nick, I should say, planned everything so well. After the Colosseum, we walked around the Forum for a good while, which is right next door to the Colosseum. Lot of really cool sights there. It's just everything in Rome. You just look and you see vastly important architecture, art, just everywhere, and that was just wild to me. It's just there for us to see. So we saw it all. We walked a lot on that first day. Saw so much.
We're going to the Vatican on Ash Wednesday.
It's pretty. It's about an hour, 10-minute walk. Yeah. We've got everything on our backs. So the second day in Rome, we packed up all of our stuff. We had these big backpacks that we used as our luggage. We packed that all up, left our hotel pretty early, and walked to the Vatican, which was about like an hour, 20-minute walk in order to get there in time for our tickets to see the Vatican Museum. And we were able to bring all of our stuff because Nick did his research beforehand and saw that they have a free coat check, bag check area that you can drop your stuff off. That was something that we planned into our excursion, especially because afternoon we had a train to catch to go to Orvieto. We spent the morning at the Vatican and oh my goodness, again, the amount of art just right there in front of you is just unreal. There gets a point where you're walking around, you're like, oh, there's like Michelangelo, there's, you know, whatever. All of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were like in that museum. We saw art from all of them. And there comes a point where honestly, you're just kind of like, oh, there's another one. Like, oh, there's another one, which I kind of hated that like I did, but especially when you're on a time limit, unfortunately, you just kind of have to, you know, you want to see it all, and so you see it all, but you don't just get to like stop and just stare at it all. We definitely stopped and stared at a lot of it. We didn't rush ourselves, but we also made sure to plan and prioritize what areas and what things we would want to schedule the most time at to be able to just absorb it. It was so cool to see the Vatican, and we gave ourselves a number of hours, which you could spend a full day plus seeing everything. There's so much to see there. It's incredible. We got really used to looking up at the ceilings, all of the frescoes, all the paintings on the ceilings and the walls that date back to, like, gosh, I don't even know. They're so unbelievably cool and old. We saw so much in the first 2 days that we were there in Rome. So after the Vatican, we hopped on a train and took it to Orvieto, Italy, which was kind of our main destination for the trip.
Hello.
Day one in Orvieto. So Orvieto is a place that Nick lived in when he went to college. Where are we at?
We're at the Duomo in Orvieto.
Oh, wow, I didn't even notice all these. When we met, he had actually just been back in the US after that experience for only like 2 weeks, and so I met him fresh out of Italy, and ever since we met, we've been talking about going there. This was the main part of our plan, was to go to Orvieto. We spent 4 nights, 5 days in Orvieto. Not long enough. I could have just not come back. It was such a different pace than Rome, and Nick knew that, and that was why we were so intentional about spending the majority of our trip in Orvieto. It is the truly medieval, even before medieval, hilltop town that is just perched way up on this hill. You have to take a vernacular to go up to it from the train station. Once you get there, you just walk around and you just exist. And that was truly the best thing we could have done for ourselves, is just plan in time to just exist in Italy. The whole town is built on this steep hill, and so you're working out when you're walking everywhere. And trust me, when you're in Italy, if you do it right, walking and you're eating, and that's how you do Italy. Even though we were working out, my heart rate was so low. My exercise heart rate was matching my resting heart rate here at home, and those stats don't lie. And there was an Italian woman who worked here, who owns it, who
Wanted to fatten me up.
would just keep bringing out more and more. We spent 5-6 days just romping around. We had tickets to go see some things too. A lot of people tend to do Orvieto as a day trip when they're staying in the bigger cities like Rome and Florence. But gosh, there's so much to see, and you lose a lot of the ability to just see the charm of the people in the town. So we were able to just stroll around, go see the underground area. The entire city is built on top of caves, old caves that the Etruscans, which is pre-Rome, pre-medieval, pre-everything, the Etruscans built and used. Oh my god. And we were able to get tours of the underground area, of all of the old wells. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I don't think Becca likes me holding the phone over.
That left bottom quadrant.
Okay.
Okay. What's our wish? We're gonna make a wish. Ready? I wished for one less penny. One of Nick's favorite places in the world, obviously, is Orvieto, but one of his favorite buildings, I think, was the Duomo, which it kind of just it kind of just appears at you as you're walking down these cute little narrow alleyways and streets. We climbed up the clock tower to overlook the city, which was one of my favorite parts. The views over the top are spectacular, but one of my favorite things about the entire trip to Italy was the place that we stayed was a little Airbnb apartment that was way up on the top and the edge of the city, and it just overlooked all these farmlands, all these old Italian farmhouses and farmlands. It was perfect. I loved that so much. It was such a nice way to start and end the day. All right, now what are we gonna go do?
Passeggiata.
We're gonna go passeggiata. People watch and walk while walking and be watched in return, right? Every morning we walked to this bakery. They had these just decadent pastries and baked goods. So we would start our day going there, getting some, and then going out and exploring Orvieto. There's no shortage of good food in Italy. I miss eating food in Italy already, and we've only been back for less than a week. When you know, you know, right? For our last night there, we decided to hit the farmers market and buy regional foods that were in season and make our own dinner at our Airbnb. Okay, heading out to Florence. We somehow gathered up all of our strength and our belongings and got on a train and headed up north to Florence. Just from the train station. Now we're walking to our Airbnb. So that's incredible. So we arrived in the afternoon, walked a little bit, meaning we walked for a couple hours around the city, got some dinner, and then went to bed and watched the weirdest Italian television. Oh my goodness.
These are delicious.
We're gonna remember that street vendor. After that authentic Italian experience, packed it all in again. In these faster paced cities, these bigger cities, we packed it all in. Nick got tickets to go see all the things, all the museums, the Duomo. We walked all the way up to the top of the city to this church that was recommended to get the best view of the city. We found this beautiful garden on the way. Wow. And the view did not miss. It was so beautiful. We got to see all of Florence from what felt like the top of the world. The 2 days that we were there, we saw, again, just vast amounts of priceless art. We're going up there? Yep. Okay. Okay, that's not all. We got to climb more clock towers. We got to climb to the top of the dome in the Duomo of Florence. Very cool to see the entire city from the middle, the town square. It's really cool. We did both those things one after another too, so every day was truly leg day. We did it. We climbed, well, so tall you can't even get in here. But we climbed that today. We were all the way up there. And then, oh, there's bats everywhere. And then we climbed, oh, we're still going. Nick's gonna find it. We just were, oh my gosh, you can't even see it. We're at the very top of that. You can't even see it. We were up there just now.
Quite the stairs.
Up and at 'em first thing in the morning. We had about a 30-minute walk to go to see the David Museum. The statue of David, it's something that I've always heard is incredible. It's never been something that I've had on my bucket list per se that I need to go see, but once you see it, once you're in the museum, you understand it. It's incredible. I think the coolest thing about it was how they framed it with what's called Michelangelo's prisoners, the statues that lead up to the David, which upon first glance, they look like unfinished marble statues. But there's debate as to whether or not Michelangelo intentionally left them to look unfinished. They look like they are just struggling to escape. These figures are struggling to escape from their marble prisons. It's really cool. You can see how heavy some of them look, how some of them are just trying to rip out of there. I think that was incredible. The David was also super, super cool. So we walked around the David Museum. We got some last minute tickets to go to the Uffizi Museum because we had a pretty good gap of time where we had to check out of our Airbnb and when we had to catch our train. Very first thing in the morning we went, saw the David, ran back like the hour to our Airbnb, grabbed our stuff, hauled butt to go to the Uffizi Museum where again they have free coat checks and bag checks, so we dropped that off and spent a number of hours wandering around the Uffizi Museum, which is just, it's so, again, so many pieces of priceless art that are just casually there. You just get to see them. And it was very neat. Gosh, we saw everything, and it's impossible to show you everything, but I'm sure gonna try so that you can see everything that we saw too. So after Florence, we caught a train back to Rome. We waved to Orvieto on the way because we could see this big medieval hill town, and we waved to it on our way back to Rome, where we dropped our stuff off to our hotel about 5 o'clock. Nick really wanted to go and show me St. Peter's Basilica over in Vatican City, which if you remember was about an hour and 20-minute walk, but it closes at 6:30. So we decided to take the subway. It popped us out into the street. Okay, now we're in Rome again, and we're gonna go see
St. Peter's Basilica.
Walked and got into St. Peter's and we're able to look around. Again, priceless art, frescoes, statues, everything. There was a mass being held in there at that time too, which was pretty cool because just the feeling of the place with everybody in there was just kind of, I don't know, it felt quieter. Even though there's still a lot of people there, it felt kind of just, everybody had an understanding of like, okay, we need to be a little bit quieter. We got there, perfect time, it didn't close, and we stayed until they ushered us all out to close it up, and then we exited to see that main square in Vatican City where everything, the moon was rising, stars were coming out, it was beautiful, and just everything at night. Rome at night was maybe one of the coolest places to experience at night. Like, it's really neat during the day because there's so much to see, but it totally changes at night. It is so cool. Everything is lit up, everything just comes alive. We decided to walk back to our place, the very long route. We wanted to see everything that we saw earlier, but lit up at night. And Nick's old professor from Orvieto, when he lived there, recommended a restaurant to us in Rome. And when we're given a restaurant recommendation, especially in Italy by someone who lives there, we're never gonna say no to that. So we ate our last meal in Italy because we had an early exit the next morning to get home. And so after that delightful restaurant experience, we walked towards the Colosseum because I wanted to see that lit up at night as well. Have you ever seen it lit up at night? And it was so cool. I think probably as I watch this video back, I might be a little embarrassed about how many times I just say things like, it was so cool, or it was mind-blowing, it was so beautiful, blah blah blah. But like, there are no other words to describe it. Each experience that we had was just so cool, truly. So we spent a good while just staring at the Colosseum. Every time we walked a little bit, turned around, looked at it, it was this whole new view. We took a million pictures and just moseyed back from there to our hotel. Next morning, our hotel offered breakfast spread, so able to just get breakfast there, and walked to the train station, took a train to the airport. Yeah, got to the airport and left. It's something that I never thought I would be able to do in my lifetime, like ever, but we made it work. And oh man, I'll just say it again, I'll resort back to my usual. It was just so cool. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I know it's a little bit different than our usual videos, but we are getting back to the swing of our farm here. I've got lots of things. I've got elderberries started. Lots of cold weather crops are started here. Broccoli, cauliflower, lots of onions. I'll show you. I have my onions up here. Lots of onions. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day on the tractor, probably reworking some of our beds, and then we are coming up on time to plant onions, and our first planting of potatoes is gonna happen. So next videos, we're going right back into the farm stuff. It's also hatching season. The season of coming back to life is what it feels like. So I will see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in.